No, I'm not the host anymore. Okay. It's like Prabhupada talks about the bogus guru who gives the power to a disciple and he loses all the power. So this Zoom host is like that. You are the host and you give the power to somebody. You are not the host anymore. Okay. Um, Vijay Singh Prabhu, are we waiting for more people or should we start? Who is NKD? I forgot.
Navakishore
Oh,
Das.
now Kishore Das. Okay, okay. That's the that's the signature of all the IYF trained youth, right? First thing they do is like make it into a three-letter abbreviation, both for themselves and for others.
Others they put HG.
Yeah. Okay, Rasika, you're coming? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, troopers call. Our goal is always to have fun. That's why we started this call. Today's session may not be that much fun, but we'll try to make it as much fun as possible. Sometimes we need to also discuss the unpleasant realities. Um, so again, also I want to set the right context for this. Last week we had such a wonderful meeting about all the wonderful things that happened in Kartik Parikrama this year, and are appreciating all the help done by all the devotees. So none of that is undone, or none of that is minimized because of whatever we are going to discuss today. And also this discussion is not specific to Kartik Parikrama. This is a general discussion we want to have based on things we have been observing uh, in the group in general for some time. It's just that sometimes because we also come in person during Kartik Parikrama, all these things are kind of manifest in a larger proportion. So that's why we are discussing it in this context. So the goal of this is to um, help everybody be more vigilant and more aware. After all, we are still in the material world, even though, um, by Gurudev's grace, we always, wherever we are, it feels like the spiritual world because he's Jagannath Yatranandamurti, right? He makes everything as a festival of Lord Jagannath, which is always blissful. Krishna Kirtanena, Bhakta Sukhaya. So all these wonderful things are there, but in order for us to take advantage of this wonderful things that Gurudev is offering us, we also need to do our part in maintaining our etiquette and our standard of interaction, particularly between men and women, in order to benefit. Otherwise, it's like you take a bucket of water and then you fill up the bucket of mercy, but then there are holes in the bucket, so nothing stays. You fill up, nothing stays. It just keeps draining. So we don't want that kind of a loss of all the mercy that we are getting, which is why this is a very instructive session um, where we want to remind everybody that we are still in the material world and we still have material bodies, and we need to be cautious in the way we interact with others. And again, this is only a minority. Let me be clear. Majority of the group is doing well, but the problem with minority is they can bring down the standards and drag others also into that, and others think that, oh, nothing is being talked about this minority, so maybe that behavior is acceptable, so let me also degrade. So the nature of this material world is to drag everything down. It's like a downstream. So we have to make a conscious effort to swim upstream to keep up with the tide of Kali Yuga. If we don't keep swimming upstream, we by default go downstream. So that's why I don't want this to be a session where people think that um, you know it's a major problem for everybody. No, that's not true. It's only a few people that are not kind of up to the mark, for which we wanted to address it in general. Uh, and particularly this year has been like bothering us a lot, and more. And also, just to be clear, this is not just the troopers. That's another thing. It's beyond the troopers, because the Kartik Parikrama is filled with worldwide devotees, and uh, the different regions have different standards. But if our own troopers, which are based in India, are not following the highest Sadachar, then we cannot set an example and expect others to come up to that standard. Because again, there is some natural cultural advantage of being born in India
I mean, as devotees, is necessary for everyone to follow.
Yes,
And we should be doing this for others as well.
Right.
But we are starting here.
right. So basically, I'm just saying it's natural to follow this, because we already many of this ingrained in our culture. It's part of our upbringing and culture for many of us. For Westerners, it may not be so. So they are going against the grain to imbibe the Vaishnava qualities, even if it's not part of the culture. So, which is why it behooves us to set the highest standards for interaction, then raise the bar. So, every one of us, by acting in a proper conduct, we are not only helping us, we are also helping others. We are inspiring others to show that such a standard is possible. And so that is what we want to address today. So this is not limited to Drupal. And second thing I want to also set the context is, whatever we are going to discuss today, anything, we are not going to obviously name anybody for any like a conduct that's not up to the par. And the goal of this is to be aware for one's own self. It's not about judging others. So don't try to guess who is this point about, who is he talking about, like that. That's not the goal. If you think, oh, this must be that person, and spend your mental energy during the discussion on thinking about others, you have you have already missed the point, and that's not the goal of this session. This session is for one's own self improvement, one's own precaution, one's own awareness and protection. It's not about others' mistakes. So we don't gossip or revel in others' mistakes. We just try to protect ourselves. And even if somebody else is not following the standard based on what we are hearing, don't try to directly go and tell them, look, I told you this is what you are doing about it. That's not also the goal. If you have any concern that somebody is not following some standard, please bring it to your seniors or mentors or whoever you are close with, and let them talk about it to the concerned people. But we don't want it to be a thing that, look, I am better than you kind of approach. That's not the goal. The goal is to raise our consciousness, not degrade ourselves or others in the process. Is that context clear to everybody? Okay. So Rasika, you want to start anything before we have a formal presentation, because I wanted to make sure these are all based on the Shastric quotes from Srila Prabhupada. One second.
Also, the thing is, we might think that, Gurudev is so busy, he doesn't see, but Gurudev observes many things like this. And then he tells me during Kartik, why is this? Why are they doing this? Go and find out. And he is really strong in some of these things. Whatever he notices, in Kartik, outside of Kartik, and even when I travel with him, Because Gurudev wants, see, Gurudev is lenient and forgives people when they can make a mistake and gives them chance. gives them gives them chance to reform and all that. But he does want us to maintain a high standard, whether he's watching or whether he's not watching, in the parikrama or outside of parikrama, wherever, because we are representing Gurudev, everywhere. Whether, we are aspiring, we are initiated for 10 years, 20 years, doesn't matter. You know, it's, me and Govincharan are initiated, say, 23 years. It doesn't mean we are off the hook. The rules or the guidance or the etiquette is for all of us to follow, to for our benefit, and also to please Srila Gurudev, because it's our service to represent him in the proper way.
Yes. And if you are anxious that, does Gurudev know I exist? Like, like, does he know about me? It's actually very hard to please him with your service, but it's very easy to displease him with your behavior. So if you want to get noticed,
Come on, you are doing the reverse way.
if you want to get noticed, but don't get noticed for the wrong reason, echoing Rasika's point that Gurudev is aware, and he again, as you can see, Gurudev, um, he gives a lot of freedom to his disciples. He, like, again, there are different spiritual masters with different levels of focus and different levels of training and guidance and all that. Gurudev's standard is he gives full freedom. He treats you as adults. You know what you're doing, and it's on us to deserve that freedom and trust and earn that trust. Again, he gives trust until you break it, like that. So that's why many of these things, he expects devotees to be at that level, because again, for those more focused towards a temple approach, they're able to monitor devotees, find deviations, and like that, and correct them, have a structure and all. With Gurudev's type of traveling preaching, his focus is always on serving the public, and to that extent always be ready, be pure and be ready. So he's not going to babysit us with these things, right? Which is why kind of, we are having to do this uh, like once in a while, to kind of make sure that just because Gurudev may not be um, like discussing this in classes or openly telling this in his lectures, but nonetheless this is ISKCON standard, and this is also Gurudev standard, and it is imperative for each of us to represent Gurudev in every interaction we do. So we don't again, just to be super transparent, this is something we have been discussing in the IDS mentors meeting earlier. So sometimes devotees think it's easier to get initiated by Gurudev. You know, they think, the standards are not high, or he's very merciful and gives initiation quickly. There's no counselor system I need to go through, unlike, Chowpatty or other places where there are strict, protocols of getting initiated, like that. So people sometimes see this as a workaround to their initiation status, right? That's a misconception. It's wrong. But where do they get that impression from? Right? They get that impression from the behavior of the disciples, right? So similarly, like uh, temples in Pune, Chowpatty, other people, they are reluctant to send their brahmacharis to some of our programs. Forget Polish tour, even for Kartik Parikrama. I'm close with some of them, and I ask them, why is that so? They say because there are too many women in the group, and they are worried that the brahmacharis will not have a.
It's not too many women. It's the, sometimes it's more open mixing and.
Right. I mean, he was telling it in a polished manner, but yes, that's what I'm getting to.
What
is
do
that
women disciples, they have more, they don't have jobs sometimes in the,
correct?
in Russia, and also they come for the yatra more than the Prabhus.
Right.
But it's like the kind
Yes.
of the mixing thing.
Correct. So the idea is, if the interaction is not at par with what the temple authorities expect devotees to conduct in a temple, I'm just saying it's already getting noticed, right? So that's why it's important and imperative for us to maintain Gurudev's reputation by our own behavior. Every interaction we do, either it brings it up or brings it down, right? So there is no neutral position. We have to work towards increasing Gurudev's reputation by our own personal behavior. I'm just saying it's not a theoretical problem that we are discussing, it's actual concern that's being noticed, and we want to be aware of that and make sure that we are performing our part in setting the highest standards for our own interaction. Yeah. So with that, I think we'll move on to the presentation. So you're are able to see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Okay. So so let's start with this. Yeah. So this is a beautiful verse from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila, chapter 4. Yad yapyo tumi hao jagat pavana toma sparshe pavitra haya deva munigana. One second. Tatapi bhakta swabhava maryada rakshana maryada palana hai sadhura bhushana. So this Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself speaking to Sanatan Goswami. My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is a characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So it's called Sadhu Bhushana. One of the famous verses that is dear to Gurudev is Sadhava Sadhu Bhushana, which Kapila Dev instructs Devahuti. So similarly here, there the context was the saintly qualities like Titikshava, Karunika, like that. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is particularly referring to the observance of Vaishnava etiquette as an ornament of a devotee. And then it's not just an option, it's not just a nice to have. That's what the next verse Mahaprabhu continues. Maryada Langani Loka Kara Upahasa Iha Loka Paraloka Duihai Nas. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both this world and the next. In other words, there is consequences for action. It's not just a okay ornament, and if we don't have, nothing happens. No, if we transgress the etiquette, we lose everything, both in this material world and in the spiritual world, or in this world or next world, like that. So that's why it's important to follow the Vaishnava etiquette at all times, whether somebody is watching us or not watching us. That should be the personal standard for each and every one of us. And there are several aspects of the Vaishnava etiquette. One is appearance, qualities, behavior, and interaction. Right? Can somebody give an example of Vaishnava etiquette in terms of appearance?
Beards and long beards and all.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. So 1 year, I think Gurudev made an effort I think he paired up with like 2 or 3 devotees to convince Madhava Prabhu to shave his beard. Remember? This
When
was
was that?
that's like a couple of years back, and Madhava Prabhu did.
I
So like
forgot
that.
now.
So I think for Rishikesh Kirtan or something like that, he did. So again, sometimes our movement has grown so big that sometimes not everybody maintains certain standards. And again, some devotees do it for preaching, some devotees do it for certain
Sometimes they want to,
like
what you call, blend with the yoga group.
yeah, like that. So, but not everybody does it for the same intention and reason. So that's where it's important one understands what is the motive and purpose, not just imitate, right? So yeah, but by default, unless having beard is your service, just shave. In fact, Gurudev,
Teaches many times. That's a
yeah,
different story.
yes. So he, yeah, that's another thing. Um, but oh no, what I was saying is, Gurudev says he shaves every day in this example again, because if you look at his, all his YouTube classes and everything, he epitomizes, the perfect appearance of a Vaishnava, right? So that's why he follows that, and that's imperative upon us as um, his disciples. We have to also follow. Again, doesn't mean that we are really like dress opulently or like put a gold chain or anything like that, but simple but clean appearance, right? And qualities. Can somebody give an example of Vaishnava etiquette with respect to qualities?
Being on time, tolerance, humility.
Yeah, punctuality. What is Seva
Polite.
Swarup say?
Tolerance and humility.
Tolerance,
Tolerance.
humility, basically.
Yes, yes.
I think who was that? Someone also spoke.
Being polite.
I said the same.
Polite. Yeah.
Excellent.
Kind, gentle.
Kind.
Yes, right. So those are qualities of a Vaishnava, and again, of all qualities, humility is the
Yes.
topmost quality of a Vaishnava. So that's how Vaishnava is recognized by his qualities, um, like that. And behavior. Can somebody give an example of what a Vaishnava etiquette in behavior would be?
Qualities of behavior related, right?
Qualities, personal qualities, behavior is like
Respectful towards others.
observable action. Yeah.
Respectful towards others.
Yes, respectful. For example, paying obeisances when you see another Vaishnava, for example, right? So those are all your behavior, like um, how you interact with others. Again, that comes in the interaction also, but behavior is more like a personal behavior, whether you are with other.
I remember, I always think this in Radhanath Maharaj's Yatra, sometimes we see like in our parikrama, sometimes there is so much of pushing. And then devotees say, this is too much pushing. I don't want to go in the front. I want to go in the back and all that. I remember in Radhanath Maharaj's Yatra, when I was hearing a class, it was quite a while ago. And then Maharaj said that if you are standing in line and then you're not pushing anyone, and even if the darshan closes before you reach there, don't worry, Krishna saw you. The darshan was achieved. But if you push everyone or you try to go in the front, then even though you are in the front, Krishna did not see you. Maharaj was very strong at that point, but that's what he meant to say, that is, if you allow others and if you stay back, whatever you wanted to achieve will automatically be achieved. His point was like, be humble and be in the background.
Right. So those are personal behavior. Like somebody said, polite, speaking politely. That's like part of the behavior, like that. And an aspect of the behavior is also how do we interact with others, right? Interaction with guru and senior devotees. For example, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and other staunch devotees, every time they met Srila Prabhupada, they would bow down fully. It's not like just once in a morning, once in a night like that, but every time they see Prabhupada in the presence, they pay obeisances. So that's standard. And same thing with senior devotees. Gurudev was mentioning how we should pay obeisances to Madhavananda Prabhu and Badahari Prabhu in the parikrama whenever we saw them like that. So interaction with senior devotees like that. Again, there are many verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam explaining how one should deal with senior devotees, like be joyful and serve them. Interaction with equals, not to be proud and boast about oneself. Interaction with juniors, not to dominate or suppress them like that. And interaction with opposite sex, which is going to be the main topic for the rest of the session. And interaction with children, right? So that also happened. Somebody sent a video of like somebody handling pocket in a very like a not a very what do you call, like a respectful way. It was
Where is it?
yeah, this went to from the Kartik Parikrama, that video went to Child Protection Office in
Oh, last
Bengal
year you are.
this year.
Even this year.
Yeah, and I had to send the video to that person and ask them to stop that behavior. Again, in a certain context that may be fun, but sometimes if you see that, that's like it's fun, but stretching it too much to the point that it can become abuse like that. What I'm saying is that these are the issues, which is why we are like dealing with this topic today. Everything is today, everything is being captured, streamed, and people take it sometimes out of context, which is why it's even more important to behave in the highest standards. So no matter what the context is, there is nothing anybody can pinpoint at our behavior, right? So that should be our standard. So like that. So this is the gold standard for interaction between men and women that Srila Prabhupada repeatedly emphasizes in his lectures. Matravat Paradareshu, the Chanakya Niti Shastra, which says one should see everyone except one's wife as a mother. This is why in ISKCON we call women as Matajis, right? Of course, there's some group of people that associate it with the gender stereotypes and they don't like it, but that's a different discussion. But the principle of whether you call them as Mataji or not, the principle is to see everybody as one's wife, as a mother except one's wife. That is the principle expected for all men, right? So once this standard is missing, then things start degrading because we don't see them at that level. So this is the standard we need to always remember. And the Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly addresses the dangers of mixing of men and women. Here is an example that shows the extreme caution. Matra svasra duhitra va na viviktashano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvangsham api karshati. One should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter. For the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. So this is the caution from the Srimad Bhagavatam. That like again, one may think, oh, that's for like ordinary people, but I'm so well versed in knowledge. I know all the shastra, I know the shloka, I've been trained. No, even if one is advanced in knowledge, vidvangsham api, right? Then that danger is there, the attraction is there because it's a biological reaction for many people, right? So once one has to be really cautious in all these interactions.
I mean, this is to caution us. This is the extreme thing. But at the same time, we see that while um, while doing services, in many of our programs and projects, we have to interact Prabhus and Matajis interact to do service. So this might not necessarily be practically possible, but what this is saying is the standard, what we should be afraid of. Gurudev many times says that he quotes Prabhupada saying that the danger is that my disciples are not afraid of Maya enough. So that's the point that we are trying to stress. Not that, from tomorrow we don't do service with Matajis or Prabhus, not necessarily in that strict sense, because it is required. Many times qualified Prabhus and Matajis come together to do services for many reasons, but we should have this principle in our heart. We should know that why these principles are there. So when we have these principles in our heart, then we will exercise utmost caution and what you call etiquette in our behavior.
Right, that's true. But one thing I wanted to emphasize is, I mean, for example, in one of the, like a bus rides we went, like an unmarried man was sitting next to an unmarried girl, even though there are so many empty seats,
Yeah.
right?
When it is not necessary,
Yes.
we should
So
not.
that's why this principle is there, like
No, I was saying for the case when we have to work and
Right.
do service.
right. That's my point is on the
But
other
the thing
side
is, the
that
mind takes advantage and says that unnecessarily also.
Correct.
That we have to be
So,
careful.
Again, it's literally they were, sitting on the, like a seat next to each other where there was no need. And again, this is why I'm saying, don't think that somebody is not observing you.
Mm.
Every action is being noticed. You are making a statement by either following or by transgressing. Don't think that, okay, it's allowed. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody's talking to anybody about it. The reason is that is the start of the slippery slope. Once you think that is okay, next time doing one more level down, you think that's okay. Because I mean, I observed this, and this person had no reason to sit next to that Mataji, and neither of them objected. Right? That is another problem.
Mm.
Then you normalize things that are not supposed to be normal, and then now something else becomes a new normal. Then people deviate one step from that. Right? So like that. So similarly, Rasika noticed, during some of the programs at the beach, sometimes men were, not men, or maybe not many, just probably she saw one person holding the hand of women. And they don't have any relationship.
I mean, this is for like, in the beach, the waves were very strong, right? You need someone to hold, otherwise you might slip. It's for that purpose.
Right.
The purpose I understand, because we have to help each other. But Prabhu and Mataji, who are not related, are not supposed to hold hand.
Correct. So again, don't think that, yes, going to the beach as a group is fun, but doesn't mean that we have the right or the authority to transgress the etiquette. So this is why every second we should be vigilant. If nobody talks about it, it becomes new normal, which is why we are talking about it, to caution that no, your actions are being observed by even people within this group. What to speak of demigods and Krishna, who are also observing, and there'll be sinful reactions for these things because they're not supposed to do that. Again, if if it's required to, 1 second, sorry, my
Charger, take the
do you have brick? Charge, that's not enough.
அது எங்கன்னு தெரியல.
That charge is not enough. Brick.
அது எங்க வச்சோம்?
Wait, keep the charge.
அதுவும் இல்ல, அதுவும்.
Okay, I'll talk. Can you find the charge for me?
Yeah.
So again, the interaction there was completely unnecessary, which means if women are going into the water, they need to plan how they are going to be safe. Right? To expect a man to hold their hand is not the standard. And yes, if it's an emergency, somebody is falling, that's a different thing. But this was not emergency. This was just a regular fun thing. Again, let's not think that these are okay. Let us follow the highest standard. Again, see here, like this verse is talking about not even about like unmarried women or married women with an unmarried boy, like that. This with in one's own mother or sister or daughter. You can ask, how can there be, like a lusty feelings between that? No, that's what it's saying. The senses are so strong that he may be attracted, right? If that is the standard, then we should be even more careful when we deal with other people, whether you are married or not, whether the other person is married or not. No mixing, no unnecessary mixing is necessary. Again, we may be wondering about the waves of the water, but the waves of lust are much more stronger than the waves of the water. So we should not ignore those waves in the name of uh, handling the smaller waves. So that's one point. And the other thing is, again, many times we also noticed people married or unmarried people sitting next to unmarried or married, like men or women, when, like doing some, not necessarily they're engaged in service, but just like that.
Casual.
Casual. So yes, when it's required for service, that's a very small category, right? Even there, there can be precautions, but I'm talking about the casual interactions where it's not, again, it's not that it was like, I'm not talking about one-off situations where somebody's noticed like that. It's a repeated pattern year after year. That's why it bothers, because this is, if we don't address this, then this becomes a new standard and somebody may be thinking, hey, that person did, why not I do? Right? So we don't want that. So we request both men and women to be cautious and to gently and politely remind each other and to
I mean, it doesn't mean, Govinda, they can't talk or
no,
anything,
no,
right?
that's not, no, it's not about talk. It's about sitting in such close proximity. So for example, sometimes, people, they are at a distance where dresses are touching each other. They are not being cautious or observant, and it's not needed. Again, we don't have such critical service that only a man and woman have to do together, right? There are
No,
many.
what I meant is I don't want people to understand that they can't talk. See,
No, it's
because
not
when we all have, many times we all have prasadam together, we laugh, we
yes,
talk, we joke.
correct.
That is okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. There is room for that comes later on. There's room for like a limited interaction. But what I am trying to caution is one's own consciousness manifests in these interaction. Whether you are sitting there for a service or are sitting frivolously or are you taking advantage of a situation that nobody is, asking me, that you and I may not know, but Krishna knows. Krishna knows your intention and Krishna will reciprocate according to that intention. If your intention is to advance, at the same time, you are trying to kind of, like a flirt with, like Maya in a very subtle way, Krishna knows that. And he will give you more opportunities to flirt like that and, show you that that is not the right standard. No, we don't want to learn the hard lessons from Maya. We are already beaten up. That's why we have come to Krishna consciousness. And on top of that, we have accepted a spiritual master. And that's why we have come to Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a spiritual master. And that's why we are coming to these events like, Kartik Parikrama or book tour or anywhere. So we are already beaten up in the material world. We don't want to get repeatedly beaten up by going back to the place from where we came from. Right? So that's why this standards are very important. Again, don't think that nobody's observing you. Again, everybody knows why they are doing. I'm just cautioning that whether you may be convinced, you may be thinking that others are convinced that you are sitting there for a reason, but that is not, if that's not justified, Krishna knows and you will see the result if you're not strict with yourself. Right. Again, there is we'll come to the later part where there is interaction, but don't don't like don't think that that's an excuse to justify your unnoble thoughts. That's what I'm saying. So there is always room for like fun, room for casual things, but even within that there is boundary, and there's no need to touch or be so close to have this effect. That's what I'm saying, right? Is that fine? So again, the Bhagavatam also explains elsewhere why this proximity is a problem. Nanbagni pramada nama grihita kumbha samapuman sutam api raho jahyad anyada yavad arthakrit. Women is compared to fire and man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore, a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. Right? So there is room for that, right? But it has to be limited. And again, who is the judge? Nobody. Krishna is the judge, and you know what you're doing. If you don't have the noblest of thoughts, material nature will catch up with you and bring you to the reality. Don't basically, we can't cheat Krishna. See, here we are not trying to cheat somebody else, we are cheating ourselves. That's the most important point I'm trying to bring to attention. In the name of advancing in spirituality, it's like advancing in spirituality is like lighting a fire. And then on one side we are lighting the fire, and on another side we are pouring water on it. So we are undoing our own spiritual progress by these unholy thoughts and interaction. So that's why one has to be vigilant that we can't pretend that no, like I don't have any such thoughts. I know this Mataji is married, I'm very close with her husband, or like I'm very close with this Prabhu, I know his wife. I don't have any such thoughts. No, it's not about what you have, what you feel today, because this principle that butter will melt in the presence of fire is a universal principle. It's just a matter of time where the standards go down day by day by day, and then somebody will get caught in the web of their own activity.
And that's why this secluded place,
Yes, right.
It's another thing. This came up a few times in Karthik, and I had to
Right.
I went to Gurudev and we discussed. When I do room allocations in Karthik, sometimes I know that people register together, right? Sometimes people are in relationships. So I know who is married, who is not married. And Gurudev had told me strictly that if they are not married, and this is mainly for Westerners, the questions come, they cannot stay in the same room. At least this is under our purview, under our jurisdiction. So when I allocate, I tell them that, you can't stay in the same room. This is what it is. So the reason that is, because of all this etiquette. So to taking it to the next level, devotees should not go into another person's room. When I say another person, opposite sex room. Like when Prabhus are in one room, Matajis are in one room, if you need to call someone, talk to someone, they need to come outside. There should be that etiquette. For whatever reason, I'm making garlands, I'm doing ironing, whatever that service is for Gurudev or for, Badahari Prabhu, whatever that is, we should have some minimum etiquette that, okay, I'm not going into a Prabhu's room, I'm not going to a Mataji's room. I need to do it in a common place outside or wherever. That discretion should be there. Gurudev told me so strong this time because this came in another context. People should not be entering the room of that other opposite sex, other gender. When you're not husband and wife, you should not be entering. for whatever reason, it being good intention, whatever, to maintain the etiquette, we should not do it.
Right. So we had to, I mean, in cases where we knew during the parikrama, we immediately took care of these. But there were some cases where things, nobody brought it to our attention, so we couldn't handle, and that, didn't go well. It really made things worse. I'll give a couple of examples of what happened. So one of the devotees, he went to the room where another woman was staying. This is at Mangalarti, and touched her. Can you believe this? These are like disciples. What is the use of, like getting initiated and like committing to follow the 4 regulatory principles when you can't, follow such a basic rule, right? And then luckily that other women had the guts to notify us. So we immediately asked this person to, we banned, him from the parikrama immediately. Right? And then now he's filing a, and she's filing a court case, and he's dealing with it. All this because of this uncontrolled lust. This is why Krishna says, Kamayesha Krodayesha, right? Is the greatest enemy. Prabhupada says public enemy number 1. So that's why we are in this process for giving up all these things. And what is the use in doing it again, especially in a holy dham, when the entire purpose is to uplift our consciousness in the month of Kartik, right? And then this person did not even feel any remorse or anything. He was just trying to, brush it off as a, like a unintended mistake. First of all, he said, "Oh, there was no light, so I didn't know, like." But he had,
There
first
is
of all,
no reason to enter the
yes,
room.
there is no reason. And even if you enter the room, first thing is you put on the light, right? And then you touch all the way, and then say that, "Oh, I didn't know who it was." Like he was expecting, he went to meet somebody else and then touch somebody else, and those explanation didn't add up, and he was not feeling even remorseful. That is another thing. One thing is to make a mistake, the other thing is to at least admit it after you have been caught. And he didn't do either, so we banned him from the parikrama like that. And now he's facing his court case, and he's begging us, can you please not have this court case against me, like that. We said, no, we can't help it. You did it, you have to accept the consequence. So that is one incident. Similarly, another incident somebody brought up, where this was somebody else just changing their clothes in front of their uh, boyfriend, and in front of this person in the same room. Like no manners, like that, right? So these are all, like very basic things. These are initiated devotees. That's like so ugly and so despicable. But that's what, when somebody's in a mad like a lust or relationship, they just justify, and that thing covers up their knowledge, even though they are otherwise really wonderful devotees. This is why Krishna says, there's no problem. I have given an entire path of dharma. If we follow this, everybody can just go back to God in this very life. Right? And the Arjuna asks Krishna, if it's so easy, why is not everybody taking it up? Why is, like people are compelled to act sinfully as if engaged by force? That's when Krishna replies, yes, it's lust only, Arjuna, or the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So we need to understand that we all have that core tendency in our heart. Otherwise, we won't even be in this material world. And we are acknowledging, we are recognizing, we are rectifying, we are purifying. That's why we have taken up this path of Krishna consciousness. After having come here, there's no point in kind of going back. Then you could have better, been where you are. Don't try to do this, because now you also add Vaishnava Aparadh to your list. That's much harder to overcome. At least previously you are only a materialistic person, so at least you are eligible for some mercy. But if you have add Vaishnava Aparadh to your list, then it becomes much harder to progress in spiritual life. So that's why again, I'm without referring to anybody, I'm giving all these examples. So pretty much every slide has so many examples. Especially this year was the worst. In the past years, we did not have this much deviations. Maybe
Or we didn't hear of it.
no, even I mean, yeah,
Or
maybe,
I don't know.
or maybe that probably, like we are also not talking about this when we, like when there's a small spark, we are not talking about it, and then it becomes a big fire, and then we are forced to talk about it.
Yeah, and that day Gurudev was telling me, this was in some other context. Kartik Parikrama is not the time for you to meet someone and find someone, to develop a relationship or to know somebody. Of course, I understand, like in, Prabhus have to find Matajis and Matajis have to find Prabhus to get married. And the devotee community is not that big to see everyone everywhere. It's small, so people look and all that. But then he was telling me that day that this is not the thing. Kartik Parikrama, the goal is we come to the Dham, we come there to absorb the mood of the Dham, to hear from Gurudev and senior devotees, and to absorb in service. That is specifically for Kartik Parikrama. That's not the place where to, find partners or, deepen our relationship or what. Even with etiquette, I'm saying Kartik Parikrama is not the place.
Correct. And yes, if again, for in future for reference, if that is your intention, please don't come. It's okay if you miss the Kartik Parikrama, you'll make more progress that way. You'll please Gurudev more that way by just not attending the Parikrama than come with the wrong intention. Right? This is not the place for deepening your like a material life. This is a place for liberating from the material pangs. Right? So that has to be the motive. Right? So again, this is for all the, I'm just clarifying, this is for all the unholy interactions, right? If you're already engaged and you have a fiancé and it's all, like a publicly known, and then you are trying
That's a
to,
different thing.
like a, like be in the dam together and attend the programs together, again, within limits, within, like whatever etiquette boundaries are applicable for married grasas also, because even with one's own wife, it's not a license to act in any way in public, even if you're married, right? So there are also standards for that. As long as you follow those standards, there's nothing wrong in wanting to attend the parikrama together and
Yeah, I was more
Yeah.
telling for like people who are
right,
looking or trying to
Correct.
find, because that came up with in some context as Kartik.
Correct. So that's why everything is thing. And another thing in the context of both the previous slide and this one is, uh, people going in scooties with the opposite gender when there is no, like a relationship, right? That is another thing where we violate this principle. And again, sometimes people use it, sometimes people misuse it, sometimes people abuse it. All things have happened this year, right? And yes, if you are a man, you don't have any business giving right to a woman in a scooty like that, right? Unless you're married to them, right? Similarly, if you're a woman, you have no right or no need for taking somebody, man, or asking somebody else, right? Uh, Again, we are not in the military zone, so we are not having such life critical service that if you don't go,
No, but
like
we also
fire.
have to facilitate properly, Govincharan, because what I noticed, right, in Mayapur and Puri, sometimes things were so far and we were asking people to do certain services.
Yes,
Then we also have to provide them.
correct.
We did not provide everyone everything this year. So some of the things lies on us also.
Correct.
I'm telling.
Correct. That's
So
why
that we
again,
need to fix on our side. And so that's why we can tell the standard so they can come back and say, Mataji or Prabhuji, I don't have a way to do this service unless there's somebody else can give me a ride, or can you pay me for to go in a rickshaw?
correct.
That has to come.
So, right. There are two levels.
Because it is in our thing also.
Right. One
Because
is
we are expecting them to do certain service.
yes. So that is another thing. For example, Rasika asked a favor from somebody during the parikrama. Again, the reason why Rasika asked a favor is because she had 100 things to do. So at least this one thing is off of her plate, right? When trying to do that one thing, right, she expects that person to use the judgment and discretion and all this, like, calculations, how they will get from place A to place B, right? In that process, they think they are entitled to, ask anybody for a ride and then, like, like go with them, and then then like they create false expectations of like friendship or some like a proximity, and then later
That creates a
that
problem.
creates a problem. So that is not Rasika's job to tell you how to get there. If she has to plan everything, she might as well do the service herself. There's no need to delegate. When you're delegating somebody, there is a certain amount of trust and understanding that you will do the right thing. So which is why we are discussing what the right thing is. Whether somebody tells or not, you are always accountable to do the right thing. And if you can't, don't take such service. If you can't plan, part of the thing is to come back and say that, look, I have this constraint, I can't do this. But saving money or saving time is not a reason to transgress the etiquette. So this is a higher principle. Is that clear? So the the highest principle Prabhupada says is to save oneself. Preaching and saving others comes only if we are saved. So we don't want to do anything where our own uh, integrity is compromised. Again, it doesn't start with just one incident, but that one incident, if you don't, if you leave it unattended, will create a second incident and will create a third, and it goes to a slippery slope. That is the problem. It's you may be thinking, just one isolated incident, what's the big deal, right? But the consciousness to not be alert, that will catch up with you and then degrade you. So that is what we need to remember.
And
So
another thing I wanted to say in this thing is, please ask for help and guidance if you don't know how to react to a situation, or if you don't know how to handle a situation. That's why, uh, friends are there and mentors are there. I'm not talking about prajalpa, like somebody is doing something. In that is another class we
yes,
need to do.
yes,
I'm not referring to like person A is doing with person B and person C is coming and talking to person D. I am not referring that. You are the person A who has to make a choice whether this is right or wrong, about yourself. That you can go and ask your friend, or you can ask a senior. Please ask for help, because we are all here to help each other. Sometimes you might think, is this wrong or is this right? Or you might think that, okay, this is wrong and how should I not do it? So in either cases, please ask for help. Unless you ask for help, we won't know how to help you. So you need to ask for help. The other part I'm saying is, you are seeing somebody doing something, it doesn't give you any right to talk about them to your friend. Nobody, I also noticed a lot of prajalpa going on in this group. A lot. Some come to my ears through various means. So we need to have another class as to how we can save our time and consciousness by not doing this. At the same time, fix these things, if we see something going wrong or whatever, through the proper etiquette. That is another thing that we can handle, that we will discuss separately.
right. And like again, those boys that have been trained in the IYF, they have been exhibiting the highest standard of etiquette. Maybe except for like one or two who may be on the fringe like that. But I'm just appreciating the hard work that Radhesham Prabhu
Yeah.
and others are putting across to give such a culture, because there's a huge difference between devotees trained in that manner and devotees from the congregation who don't have such experience or
Standards.
standards or awareness. So this is where like we are seeing this huge gap, which is why we are taking the first step from our side to at least bring it up, make it an open conversation, make the standards known, so that there's no excuse for somebody to say, oh, I didn't even know this is the standard you are expecting. Again, this is that you should know all this if you read Srila Prabhupada's books, and if you don't, then at least learn from others, particularly those trained in any of the IYF or
Basement.
base or other things, because Radhesham Prabhu is such a gold, not even gold, like diamond, platinum standard for such facilitating this thing, and so much they are achieving so much results, so much preaching, so much book distribution services, everything they're doing. We have no excuse to break things to like in the name of service. So I'm just acknowledging where the what the standard, so people know that standard. So then that is what we need to, others have to aspire to follow. Just because you're a congregation devotee, don't think that you are exempt from that strict standard. It is applicable for every person in this group. And from now on, we'll be much more cautious. And whenever we see a red flag, we will raise it. And similarly, if any of you see something that we don't see, just talk to us or your mentors or seniors, bring it to our attention so that we can address it before it becomes a big fire.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to say is this time we heard about some things after the matter of fact. And after that fact, so many people came and told me.
Yes.
So that I felt very bad. See, I am having this title of Parikrama organizer. Then that means I should know good and bad. And if you see something flag, not as a matter of prajalpa, but as a matter to fix that problem or to raise awareness of that problem, come and let me know.
Yes. Even if it's a false alarm, it's okay. It just
Yes.
like think of it as like a bomb thing, right? Like sometimes they say, right?
I mean, you should, of course, you should have the right mood that you're not judging that person. You are just letting me know so that I can be aware of the situation. You are, of course, it's again a matter of consciousness. So I don't want people to like judge others and then put down others. That's not the goal of this exercise. This is to, with the right mood, to help them. And you're not talking among peers. You're coming and talking to a mentor or a senior.
Right. So that is the way to, moving forward, you will see some of this principles being, enforced and acted upon, especially when we are beginning the book tour later in December and other things. So again, be mindful of these and then help yourself and help others. So with that, action items, next few slides, right? What is the practical checklist for self-awareness? So that's what this is. This for individually, like for everybody individually to have their own awareness. First is introspect your own consciousness. Am I, like lastly for the opposite sex, am I trying to gain a physical proximity for a wrong reason? Am I trying to do this service in the excuse that, yeah, if I do this, nobody will notice it and I can have some fun in the side? Am I doing this with the, some ill motive that I think I can justify and not be caught? Whatever is your consciousness, be honest with yourself. Acknowledge your own position, because this is where Krishna consciousness begins, from honesty. Right? Krishna, humility is the foundation in which our entire spiritual life rests. And honesty and humility are synonymous. Basically, humility means being aware of one's own shortcoming and being honest with ourselves and acknowledging and accepting that, yes, this is the person I am in my heart. Whether you fool others or not, doesn't matter. Others think, you are being initiated devotee for 15 years, 20 years, 50 years. No matter what others think, we have to be honest with ourselves and not be in illusion, first of all, internally. That is the first step. If we don't know what our strength is, what our weakness is, then there won't be any communication. And as Rasika said, we won't even be asking for help when we should be asking for help. None of that will come, and nobody's going to babysit you saying that you are at this level, this is what you should do, and this is what you should not do. Right? Those things you should have already done as part of becoming a bhakta or bhaktin, and then getting initiated. That's all part of your responsibility. Just like nobody's in this group is teaching you how to brush your teeth or how to take bath. Those are you are expected to have known all that as part of growing up. So similarly, these basic principles of self-awareness are something, like that's the beginning of spiritual life. So we need to be honest with ourselves and understand what we are good for and what are our blind spots. And then only take up service you're qualified for, right? Don't try to do service which can agitate your mind. So better to admit one's own weakness than to think that, okay, you can, make it and then fall prey to it, right? It's glorious. Don't think that by admitting your weakness, you're actually showing your weakness. Actually, that is your strength. Understanding of one's weakness and being able to admit is a strength. It's not a weakness. So devotees should feel inspired and encouraged and empowered to have such conversations, knowing that you'll not be judged for that weakness. Rather, you'll be actually appreciated and glorified for being so honest about your own situation.
Yeah, but I mean, in this case, they should better talk to a senior and not to a peer. Because sometimes when you talk to your peer, you might get judged.
Wrong
Because,
advice also.
huh?
And or wrong advice also.
Wrong
Think that
advice and all
it's
that.
okay.
Yeah, so better, because that's another thing, like we don't want, devotees to judge others, thinking that I am better or whatever. So find the right person to open up your heart.
I mean, even peer is okay, provided they are higher in standard in that particular aspect, right? It's not that
I
they
mean,
are
as long as
yeah,
they won't be judging you, or, that's what I meant.
right. So, and then the most important point is to remember that Krishna doesn't look at what is the excuse we have to justify our like unholy association. He only reciprocates with our actual consciousness, not what we portray it to be. So this is why we are in the material world, because Krishna is reciprocating with our desire to do whatever we want. Correct? So Krishna is already reciprocated with our desire. That is a proof. The fact that we are here is a proof that he's actually reciprocating with our actual consciousness. Now it's up to us to show Krishna that this is not the mud pile in which I want to live. I want to get out of this, right? And then show that consistently, right? That's Maya's job, is to give opportunities where we can safely justify and feel good that we can have some fun in the side while kind of, being so-called Krishna conscious, while being so-called, like a service oriented and all that. Maya's giving us an opportunity. Okay, what if I give you this particular thing where you don't get exposed, but you can kind of fulfill your inner heart's desire? And then that is a trap in which we'll fall if we are not sincere with ourselves. That's why honesty is important, because Maya will catch up with us. Like she's Krishna's energy, so she is smarter than you and me. So she will catch up with us in no time. So like that's what Gurudev says, don't flirt with Maya. It's not worth it. So and similarly, yes, despite all cautions, Prabhupada says accidents happen even on royal roads. So if you make a mistake, be the first to admit it the very next moment. Good sense prevails in you. Because every sinner knows they are doing a sin. As Arjuna says, they are doing it helplessly out of conditioning. But thanks to being devotee, Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. He also gives the intelligence. He also gives the intelligence to the person that made the mistake, that you are doing a mistake. He's the Paramatma in our heart, right? He says, Upadrishta Anumanta. He is the permitter and overseer. So he knows our consciousness. He reminds us, right? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. He's giving us, if we don't choose the knowledge, he'll only give us a forgetfulness. And then we'll think that everything is okay when it's not okay.
I mean, we get that intelligence immediately, but then Maya also gives justification. So before the justification comes, we should admit it and seek guidance.
Yes. So that is the best policy, right? So if we do that, then two things. If you don't do that, then you are only making it harder for you to admit at a later point, which will anyway eventually happen. And if you admit it earlier, actually our mind becomes strong, because yes, I made a mistake, but I'm able to actually admit it and overcome that mistake. Then the mind doesn't keep uh, like
Tempting
fitting
you.
itself in that hole and then think that I can never come out of it. We are actually making the mind stronger. Look, yes, I made a mistake, but I'm able to admit it and then go ahead and overcome that tendency, that temptation, that condition, that consciousness, and show that we actually want to improve and not be there blindly protecting our false image. This concept of image, that I have a certain image, how can I destroy that? Okay, if I tell you to Rasika or Govinda, what will they think of me? Will I lose my service? Will I lose this? Will I lose that? We think like that and then like postpone doing the right thing even after making a mistake. That is worse than the original mistake. Original mistake is one thing, but to think that by covering up, I can get away with it, or by like covering up, I'll be able to overcome on my own. Both are illusion, right? We need to open up and then solve the real problem. Then the mind becomes strong, and then next time the mind will think, look, last time I made this mistake. Making a mistake and then admitting it is hard. I don't want to go through that pain again. So the mind will next time uh, saying that, no, I don't want to make this painful I don't go through the pain again. Let me do the right thing. So that is why admitting and being honest is a protection, it's a guardrail to make sure that we don't further commit the same mistake again. If we don't do that, in the name of preserving the personal reputation or the family reputation or Gurudev's reputation or service or any such excuse, we only deepen the problem, worsen the problem, and we don't get help, and we are stuck in a rabbit hole there. So that is why it's like Rasika also forwarded that nice article by Srila Prabhupada where he was appreciating Alexander the Great, where like one thief was telling Alexander, "You are punishing me, but you are a greater thief." And then Alexander realized, "Yes, you're right. I am a thief," and he let them free like that. So his greatness is in admitting his
Absolutely.
mistake. So again, just like it's glorious to admit one weakness. It's glorious to admit one mistake. And again, that can be done only when that good sense is there. If we lose that, then we'll get further covered in Maya and not able to make progress.
Yeah, thing is, if you make a mistake, we don't want people to feel victimized. Because Gurudev, if you see, once he was telling me that, if I start rejecting devotees who make mistakes, then there will be no disciple. So he is very, very forgiving, like a kind father, but he expects that person who made a mistake to understand the mistake and take actions that will prevent them from making those mistakes, basically not repeat it. That's what is expected. But because we know that this world is like that, there is temptation, there are challenges in doing things, so mistakes could happen, for whatever reason. So once you make it, it's not like people are condemned. If you accept it, there is always in Krishna consciousness hope for everyone, for every mistake.
Yeah, every saint has a past and every sinner a future. So again, that is our whole process, is that we have broken our relationship with Krishna, and the whole process we are engaged in is to restore that relationship. In the matter of restoring that relationship, we don't want to make the same mistake of like breaking our relationship further and then getting entangled. And the only way to restore is by being honest. And another aspect of this honesty is to be ready to accept the consequences. So this is one reason why people don't uh, like open up when they make a mistake, even if they know that they should be disclosing it, because they don't want to accept the consequence. But you have control over a ball only before you throw it. The moment you throw the ball will take the course of physics, right? You cannot control it after you have released it, right? Whatever intensity or velocity with which you released it is going to take that course. So similarly, we cannot, once we made a mistake, we cannot go and control the situation. Like, it's not like a damage control we try to, because if you try to do that, it actually makes the problem worse. It just shows how bad your character is, and how poor your judgment is, and how naive your intelligence is in terms of how you think the world is working. Especially in the modern world, everywhere there is camera. right? Everybody is recording everything. Everybody is watching. And India is like what, 1.2 billion people? So everywhere there are people, right? So
Social media.
everybody is watching you. You already. So you're already a, like a noticed. So the safest path for exit is by being honest and admitting it and be ready to accept the consequence. Don't let the accepting of consequence stop you from being honest, because that is making the mistake further, right? So again, you might be thinking, okay, I don't make a mistake, so I don't have to worry about it. But no, every one of us will make a mistake. The thing is, we have to be ready to accept the consequence, and that itself is a sign of humility, and that is how we advance, not by being right all the time, but by being able to do the right thing even when we are wrong, and then recover from it and be resilient in our consciousness, right? So that is what that resiliency is what we are uh, discussing here. And so those are the self-awareness checklist, what you do for yourself, right? So similarly, how do you protect yourself when you are in the presence of others? So that's the next slide here. So first thing is zero touch policy for opposite sex. There is no need. Again, we are not doing any mission critical service that requires anybody to touch anybody of the opposite gender, not even their dress, right? Like when you are talking, standing distance. Again, the 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 reality, sometimes some devotees may do it without even being conscious about it, not because they are lusty, just that they are not even aware of the fact that they are like so close at a distance, their dresses are touching. That may be true for one person in the pair, but for the other person, they may be thinking as an invitation. They may be thinking, okay, looks like it's okay for me, and then they'll take the next step. That is where the problem starts, right? So again, not that everything we see, it need not be the source need not be a, like, lust, but it can be even negligence. But the other person can take advantage of it and think that it's okay, right? So this is why the moment you recognize, immediately step back, step away, keep some distance. Even if, let's say, for example, again, that's why when you're sitting in a bus, sit next to a man, or if you're a woman, sit next to a woman, right? No need for thing. And if, let's say, there's only one seat left, last seat left, prefer even to stand than sit like that, okay? And even if you have to sit for some reason, right, for service or whatever, at least put a bag or put something as a partition in between, so that you are reminding this principle both for you and you are following the standard. That is what is called a best effort. Don't think that, oh, there's no other seat, so I sit here, nobody can complain that I sat here, so I'm excused. That mentality is sinful. It's not that sitting itself is going to ruin you. It's thinking that I can justify this. That is what is the problem. And you show your sincerity to Krishna by at least putting a bag or something in between, so that even while you are in that circumstance, you are still following it, and you mean to Krishna that you want to be chaste and you want to be simple and pure at heart. That is what Krishna consciousness is. It's not about the externals, it's about your consciousness. What is the consciousness you're demonstrating in that situation? That is what Krishna is reciprocating with. So be alert and careful with that. So, and if anybody finds violation of this, please bring it to our attention, or whoever is like involved in the services, so that there's no need for that kind of interaction, right? And again, Rasika brought up this point already. Wherever we are, men and women, if some room is designated as a men's women or women's women, just you have no business entering into other room for any reason, right? And again, same thing. Okay, I may be thinking,
This should be followed to the point.
right,
There should not be any reason at all.
right,
If you have to go call someone, they're not picking up the phone, you are supposed to knock the door and they have to come outside and you have to talk. There is no reason to enter.
right. So, and then again, you may be thinking, okay, I'm not going to the room, but I'm just, walking outside, and I'm, like that. But again, no opening up or counseling between men and women, right? First of all, any long talk between an unmarried woman and unmarried mm, man, or unmarried man and married woman, or married man and married women other than their spouse. Any long talk is a red flag. Any long talk, any frequent talk, any private talk, any frivolous talk, everything is a red flag. If you don't see it, others are noticing it, right? So be careful and be mindful. Again, who is finally paying for it? You are only going to pay for it if you don't follow this. So we are here to trying to save you with these things, which are the guardrails that we are all expected to follow. Again, like you are all like, many of you are like one generation younger than us, right? So you may be thinking, okay, this is all like for the previous generation. No, it's for every generation. Prabhupada's books are the law books for next 10,000 years, and these are all the things that Prabhupada is talking about. Even if you have to have, let's say, some uh, like let's say you have to advise somebody or coach somebody, make sure there is at least a third person, and do it in a public setting as much as possible, so that there's no need to go to a room, there's no need to go to a private area, just the three of you. Just if it has to be, if it has to be, if you have to protect their privacy, keep some distance, but make sure others are noticing that you are talking to this person, because that is your protection. Because if it happens one time, that's okay. If somebody sees that this is happening every day, then they know something is wrong. So that's why the frequency also matters. So you cannot say that, okay, I'm just having a private interaction always with one more person and then get away with it. No, the frequency also matters. No frequent interactions also, because everything is a red flag. So if you don't see it, then somebody else will see it, which is why we are requesting in future any such red flags you see, uh, even if you are not sure, it's okay to bring it up, as long as Rasika said, you're not bringing it with a malicious intent. That's fine. As long as you are sincere and bringing it up just for the safety, it's important to contribute to the health of the society and health of the devotee, right? So
That's it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, next one more slide there. Same thing. Now you may be thinking, okay, I'm not there physically, right? Now everybody is actually having their own personal space within the digital world, right? If everything is end-to-end encrypted, so same principle applies. Think of the digital space as common space, and any private one-to-one interaction as private interaction going into their private room. It's as bad as that. So no private text, chats, emails, phone calls between men and women, if like, unless they are like brief and particular, like related to the particular service, and again following, it's not like frivolous things. And if absolutely needed, especially if you have to have continue like like a theme or a conversation or a counseling or anything, then create a group with at least one other person, so that no private exchange. It's like one of things is fine, but I'm talking about
Repeated,
like a
frequent.
yeah, repeatedly communicating with somebody other than like like a regular service like that, especially across genders, right? Yes, same gender is different thing. And similarly, no late night conversations, because like there's mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance influence at different times of the day. That's why we sleep in the night, because that's influenced by the mode of ignorance. So at that time, our ability to discriminate goes much less, and then we take wrong shelter, we give wrong advice, all these bad things happen like that. So no late night conversations. And again, as Rasika said, some, because we are very few people here, and we have to serve, so we sometimes have to interact. So it's not like zero interaction, that's not the point here, but keep it to the service and minimal. Basically, like, try to find your friends within the same gender and then open up to them, rather than trying to cross the boundaries thinking that that is my shelter. It is not. It is only a slippery slope, right? And similarly, like, devotees have like really uh, gone astray in their life, watching pornographic content, and then their lives are so messed up, they've lost their services and things like that. Don't do that. And similarly, like many youth, they're all thinking it's normal to watch YouTube and Netflix and like scroll endlessly in Facebook and Instagram like
This
that.
is another big topic,
Yes,
Govinda.
again, watching any non-devotional content or any of this is contaminating. So yes, sometimes for like some service we might have to engage in some of these platforms, but not
I mean,
everybody
that's
has
how,
qualified for these.
and that's how it starts. Like
Right.
I'm on Instagram because I get updates from this temple's program, that temple's program, and
Right.
of course, there are so many good things that is being posted up there, but there are many equally, I'm not saying bad, unnecessary things also are there in these social media, which takes your time. I was just recently discussing with, I think during Jaipur, I think with some devotees about how, just Instagram, I know one is about consciousness, another is wasting our time. We all hear about the 5-year plan, we all hear about Gurudev's projects. There is so much to do if we have time. And sometimes the social media steals our time. I'm not saying everything is corrupting your consciousness directly, but just unnecessary, frivolously watching something. Somebody bought a house, somebody went here, somebody went there. Not everything is that too mindlessly doing. You don't even realize 30 minutes is gone. All these things are unnecessary. We need to watch ourselves. Am I spending my time in the right way? In that time you can read a verse, you can read something which will improve your consciousness, right? It's no like so many times people think my relaxing is Instagram. I'm going to scroll. Vaishish Prabhu, stresses this point. Don't scroll mindlessly. That's something we should avoid.
Okay. And then finally, to end on a high note, so yes, does it mean that I cannot find a partner within the IDS community? No, it's not. So there is like a proper ways of doing it. First of all, if you know uh, you have particular interest in somebody, just approach your mentor or seniors and talk to them first. Say like disclose your heart and then explore a relationship, right? Again, one at a time, not trying multiple people in parallel like that, but again follow all the regulatory principles and keep your interaction a thing and make arrangements, everything again following the sadachara that's discussed.
And this is outside of Kartik Parikrama.
Right, outside of Kartik Parikrama and within the proper boundaries, and see if it works or not. So there is room for that. It's not
Yeah,
like
I myself have approached some of you suggesting, do you want to consider this? And so, because, people come to us asking, if there are prospective, Prabhu or Mataji that they can explore a relationship, and we are happy to connect devotees. So the right way is, approach us first, us meaning me and Govincharan or your mentors, your senior devotees to start there. Then that's better that we are aware of that you are pursuing that. You know,
right. That way, even if somebody complains tomorrow, you would, well, like people understand that yes, no, they are already, exploring a relationship, and then, there is a proper way to answer that so that others don't think that that is a acceptable standard like that. Again, it's all for protecting oneself and protecting the, like the devotees, so that we can focus on the real business, which is chanting and glorifying Krishna and helping others know about Krishna through the wonderful programs that Gurudev is expecting us to help. So all this is like vital energy saved. All the energy that's we save from here is the energy that we can deploy for Gurudev's service. Otherwise, we'll be thinking, oh, I don't have any time and this and that. But Gurudev is waiting, like just like Krishna is waiting for millions of lifetimes, Gurudev is waiting for us to become purified so that we can come to this platform of full Atma Nivedanam. And that's what Mahaprabhu, when Sanatan Goswami was trying to commit suicide because he was so, like uncomfortable with Mahaprabhu, like approaching him when he was deceased. Mahaprabhu said, your body is not yours. I have many things to accomplish through your body. So that is the meaning of initiation. We say Manasa Deho Geho Jokichumora, right? When we are offering our mind, body, and soul to Krishna through Gurudev, that means we are saying, my time, my energy, my everything is yours. It's up to you how to. When we have that consciousness, then Gurudev will use us as an instrument and accomplish the wonderful thing that he wants to accomplish, in the next, 5-10 years of his, again, Gurudev is, that is his biggest anxiety. Even though he has done so much, he's thinking, I'm like 77 now. I'm going to be 77 now. And then, I'll soon be
He's 77. He's going to be 78.
78. Yeah. So I'll be soon, 80. And how many Prabhupada disciples are traveling at this pace and doing such big programs at this age. Hardly you can count in your fingers. So Gurudev is one of those very special and rare souls living with us in this time in history. And somehow or other, like actually for many of you, you can forget about us, but many of you are in your, teens or like 20s, like that. So this is exactly the how Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the West in his 70s, had disciples that are just, teenagers and just in their 20s. So you all have such a, like a lifetime ahead of, like a
Meeting.
dedication and service, and that is how the movement can spread, and that is how we can please Gurudev, right? Like Rasika, we are now in our, like Rasika and I, we are in our kind of, Vanaprastha state already. But you have such a full life. Yes, uh, there's no harm in being a grasta and partner and all that. But if you don't watch out for these small things, then your mental energy will be diverted in this, all these frivolous engagements, and then you will not have time for the bigger things in life. So that is the most important, uh, like a message we want to convey. Again, it's sorry, a lot of it is um, very instructive. It wasn't so much fun like the way I would normally like to talk and joke around. But sometimes this is also needed for us to have fun at remaining times like that. This time, this year particularly, I was feeling very bad for Rasika, especially because of one incident where it was like, I mean, a few incidents, but some incident where she personally vouched for somebody to attend the Kartik Parikrama, and then brought them to the Kartik Parikrama under her, uh, what you call, like assurance. And then that person did such a blunder and got into a really bad situation. And then she was feeling so bad facing that person's father, because she, Rasika assured them that, um, like, because she didn't expect to the extent things will spiral down like that. And after having done so much for Gurudev and so much for this, I was feeling so bad to see her so demoralized after this, like a stupid mistake done by somebody. So that's where we felt, because people are in the next generation, they don't have this, they don't share the same understanding as us, unless they are trained in a IYF or like, like a proper culture like that. So so it's very important for those that have not been fortunate enough to get trained like that, to take this seriously and to really set such a high standard. Only then, like, together we can have fun. Otherwise, you are having fun at the expense of others, and then Krishna will have fun at your expense, and that's not going to be fun. Okay, so better to be simple. That's what bhakti means. Bhakti means be simple. Don't try to outsmart Krishna, because Krishna can outsmart you. That's why we say Jai Shri Krishna, because Krishna is always victorious. So don't mess up with him. Okay, with that, we'll open up for
Question.
comments, questions.
It's already late
Yeah.
also. Yeah. If anybody have to leave, please feel free to leave. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Hmm. I saw a question in the chat. Hare Krishna, please tell us what Gurudev told during Kartik Parikrama. What are we doing wrong? It's it's some interactions that he noticed between men and women, unmarried men and unmarried women, that was not appropriate.
And again, also, sorry, one thing, also one of the things that in this context is maybe because of the language, the Bhagavatam talks about men as a subject and women as object. Again, please, this Kali Yuga, don't believe that it's only men causing problem.
It's
Actually, many of the more incident in this whatever we are talking about were the reverse, where women are so polluted and they are trying to degrade also. So it's not like like man is bad, woman is good, not
it's
like that.
both ways.
It's both ways and more on the side, like on the the reason I'm bringing that up is there's one devotee that Gurudev particularly invited to the parikrama because he was already surrounded by too many women and he wanted to escape and find peace. And then even in the parikrama, the lady started talking to him because he's attractive person. And Gurudev was so disappointed. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't even invited for the Kartik Parikrama. So you see how even if you are so some like what you call like a some person who Gurudev doesn't even know, you can displease him so easily. Like again, because because people are violating this culture, because people are violating this etiquette. So Gurudev was trying to protect this person. This is why I'm saying it's not just like a man is causing problem. Because women are also like equally like a
Yeah, I mean that applies for both genders.
correct. So
both.
that's something. The Bhagavatam verses are like meant for a certain language, but like it's both genders have to be careful both ways. So there's no excuse for anybody to exploit anybody. Yes. Yeah, so that's I was thinking about that when you are answering Sundari Kopika, that what Gurudev told. Again, many of these Gurudev won't tell in a big class unless it becomes a big issue like this. He would be telling Rasika about these things so that she can like go and talk to the individual devotees uh, to rectify the behavior. But that's why we can't, we don't, our goal is not to identify the people or the situation to the point that, you can identify. We are trying to be as discreet as possible to convey the message and not try to, like pinpoint the person or the other, which is not the point of this meeting or anybody's business at all. But at the same time, notice that Gurudev notices things not going good. And then again, he invites people for getting mercy, and then they lose the mercy in that process. That is the most unfortunate thing. So you can quickly displease and lose the mercy. Like be careful. Again, even if Gurudev may not be personally inviting us, because some people Gurudev may not know personally because of lack of direct services. That's fine. But every invitation that he is giving on his Facebook is an invitation to all of us. So we are here in the Kartik Vaikma under his invitation. We don't go to a dham just by buying a ticket. We are there. It's a private party. We are there by the invitation of Guru. So that's how we should feel. That means I am being invited to this party by Gurudev. So I can't go and crash the party. So I have to maintain this standard. So same thing with the book tour also, right? Again, it's not just a Kartik Parikrama is holy because it's in Dham. Yes, that is there. But all these interactions also apply when Gurudev is visiting each city in the next, like couple of months in book tour also. So same caution, everybody is noticing how Gurudev's disciples interact. I'll give another similar example where it's not related to the men-women interaction, but like we had somebody that Gurudev invited for some program. We had them we had asked some uh, new aspiring disciples to host them in their home for the during some program. And then you know and these devotees that we invited, they weren't being careful about following the no onion no garlic rule. And then they ate something without even checking whether it had onion or garlic, and or even if after they were told. And then that aspiring disciple family got so such a bad impression that they stopped aspiring from Gurudev, thinking that Gurudev's disciples standard is low. You see what I mean? One person can spoil the spiritual life of another person just by their frivolous behavior like that. Imagine what a disservice that is. And then they are now going to spread that.
It's not necessarily frivolous, sometimes negligent.
I know that's something like, yeah, negligent and not following the standard like that. Again, that's why Mahaprabhu says if you transgress the etiquette, everything is vanquished. So we have to be extremely careful, both for protecting our spiritual life and also for others. Gurudev many times mentions in his book that, like, of course, he talks about renunciance particularly, but it also applies for other devotees that our character should be spotless. Just like if there's a spot on a white cloth, it can be easily seen, right? If it's a mixed color and there's a spot, you can't see it, but it's on a white cloth, it can be very easily seen. So others are, like looking up as a standards for Gurudev's disciple. So we can't go and reduce Gurudev's reputation by our behavior and cause havoc, right? So that's why it's important. Yes. This was from
Sundari Kopika Mataji, she has raised hand.
maybe that's from the
Hare
past.
Krishna. May I tell just few words?
Sure.
And happy to see everybody. Thank you very much for meeting. Actually, this topic today is very important, and I actually in Arisa we doing preaching all over year. We're traveling a lot, and actually my preaching is mostly about following Indian culture, Bharati culture. So for me, actually, those all things are very painful. So what I want to tell, maybe this is like childish suggestion, but before next Kartik Parikrama, maybe it's possible to make a meeting or something, or some maybe some guidelines, like not book, but just some points, how to dress or something. Because actually, I know that Arisa is one of very traditional places. So those things which is normal for other parts of India, Bharat, are really very, how to say, ridiculous here. Such things as you mentioned, that holding hands. Even wife, husband cannot hold hands here. It's very personal. It's not. People will feel very bad. So some devotees coming with gopi dress, and mostly Western devotees, they thinking on Western countries that is very this dress covering their body very well. But here it's just underwear. Honestly, people thinking this is underwear because stomach is open, back is open, so it's like they forgot to wear sari. So maybe some guideline we can make before
Yes,
visiting.
Mataji. Yes, actually, thanks for your point. As I said in the first few slides, there are many, many aspects of Vaishnava etiquette. We were just covering this one aspect of interaction, but then, as you said, dress and other things are important. So we will, so in fact, I have a book that asks this already, like what you're asking, I already have. So we'll share it in the group and then make sure we communicate it before the next event. But then we did not want to wait till next year. That's why we want communicating now for the next Kartik Parikrama already, right?
And regarding the dress, Mataji, since you are living in Russia, Orissa, you are following a certain standard. Not everything we might be able to implement it, because our goal is not to restrict people from attending. Gurudev wants to invite everyone to come to Kartik Parikrama. So we cannot be too restrictive as well.
I understand. Yeah, sure.
So we have to do which maintains the mood of Gurudev as well. Within that, whatever that helps people follow etiquette and absorb the mood of the Dham, that we will try to do.
I mean just recommendations, because some people really don't know. Some people don't know. Maybe they want, but they don't know. So I just don't think I'm criticizing or something. I don't have this mood at all, and I just would like we all try our best to follow our Gurudev Srila Prabhupada. But just one example I give in one girl, I really believe she don't know. But once I saw she wearing just pants, these pants which they wearing with
Mataji,
kurta here.
sorry. As I said, there are different aspects. I don't want to talk too much about the dress in this meeting because this is for the interaction between men and women. We can discuss that in a future topic. I want to ask others if they have, particularly for what we discussed today. We didn't discuss much about dress, much more about the interaction, which is a much bigger and higher point. I wanted to address that first. Any comments, any reflections, anything else you noticed, any other pointers for helping people with their own self-awareness or getting help? Anything I would like to hear, others' reflection, because it's a big topic. I'm just like, if needed, we can even continue it next week as needed, because I want to make sure we all internalize and hear from multiple people, right? Please go ahead. You can unmute and speak, or can you raise your hands? Yes, Manikanta Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is just checking on something. Earlier, Vijay Narasimha Prabhu also shared like there is something like mentor system going to start, like just to track the sadhana, hearing Gurudev's lecture and all. May know like from when it can be implemented. So that in that way we can become more strict in the sadhana. That's what I just wanted to confirm.
Yes, that's the meeting we had just before this. That's why some of you got late.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
it's the first batch. It's starting like as soon as Vijay Narasimha Prabhu sends out the calendar invite. We just reviewed all the material and we are ready to launch. So
pretty soon.
yes, it's like in a matter of a week or so, it should be launched. So
Okay, Prabhuji.
Haridasa Varya Prabhu has been working on it along with Vijay Narasimha Prabhu and Chaitanya Bhava Prabhu, and several devotees have contributed to that effort. So this is a glorious thing that we are able to start this. So yes, we will be um, sending announcement of this soon. And Advait, yes, we'll be sharing the presentation to the group after this. Yes.
Prabhuji, one more thing is, I
Yes.
was not regarding the 5-year plan. It might have discussed before I connected to the group. I'm not aware
We
of
can forward
that
it again.
part.
Yes.
Okay.
And once you are assigned a mentor, they can explain to you in detail as well.
I think this is
Okay,
part of the induction as well that we may
Okay.
cover.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Rajapati Sutta Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Just you covered a couple of many points. One of the pointers I just wanted to also which I was a short observation indirectly, generally when we dance kirtans also we generally dance in separate groups, Prabhuji and Mataji. Sometimes a little bit I just saw at some place translation of that. So I just thought maybe that also like when we are discussing with Prabhuji group we tried I just observe as observe I just wanted to still in that aspect so we can speak on.
Yeah, that also we should avoid that. Yes. Thank you for bringing that.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. I was reflecting on myself and I thought, since few years, 3-4 years, I was joining this parikrama. I saw there was some dilution also on my part, so it was very much required on the session because it always reminds us that what is the standard which all the seniors and Gurudev is expecting from us, and um, this is like obviously this is as you told that we are invited to get mercy, and we should not leave that mercy on the plate and just look for something else. So
Yeah. Thank you again. The first verse we read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to Sanatan Goswami. What was it?
Ornament of a devotee.
Yeah, he says actually. He says, "My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, right? It is a characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette." So Sanatan Goswami was at such a high level, but still he was feeling out of humility that like Mahaprabhu is touching him when he had sores on his body, and he was feeling so uncomfortable. So like that, the greatness of a devotee is in their humility, and you can see Seva Swarup's humility in his statement. So this is what is needed. No, it's not about okay, I think this point was about others. No, it's about self-reflection. Okay, where did I kind of cross a line, or even unintentionally, or like like that. So if we raise the bar individually, we can see that the whole group benefits, because everybody standard raises and people can notice it. So thank you, Seva Swarup, for that setting that example of self-reflection. And also one more thing I forgot to mention. One person was even trying to feed another person of the opposite gender in some kind of like in some situation. Like I was like shocked. How can you know like you like again, it's in a group setting. It was like supposed to be like a fun, but there is a limit to everything, right? Like it's not like they're not doing it privately, they're doing publicly, but that is how much we become ignorant, like when we don't hold ourselves to the highest standard. Like yeah. So again, many examples. So it's we have to be cautious.
So
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Go ahead.
sorry, bro. So just thought, even there have been certain incidents where I've personally observed, like where those are either engaged or about to be engaged. The couple come, but it could be a modern trend where they are allowed to get to know each other before marriage, and somehow they are addressing themselves as husband and wife, though they are not legally related. Maybe just in respect for the other devotees, Vaishnavas, who attend the parikrama with highest respect and honor for Srila Gurudev and all the Vaishnavas around. We maybe not like set some standards there as well. Like, they are engaged. They are all fine, but they are not yet there. In terms of legally related.
Right.
So maybe we should just take that call as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Again, now that like we have started this conversation, so we will make sure that the additional guidelines and guardrails are published. And again, the goal is not to enforce, but because you cannot enforce this at the end of the day, we can only help. If somebody so badly wants to violate, nobody can help him. Well, we can only ban them from certain events so that they don't bring down the culture. But uh, the real protection is one's own
Yeah,
self
he
check.
said in the context of just
Yes,
general
correct,
etiquette.
correct.
Nothing to ban there.
Yes, yes. No, I'm just saying, yes, we will publish those as well as we go. And it's every individual to follow, because we can't really police these things. We cannot go and ask, why did you do this? But that's not the business. You don't want, we already have enough things to do in the Kartik Parikrama, right? Or anywhere else, like any service. We don't want this to be the policing business. That's why I'm saying whatever guidelines we publish, it's up to the individuals to also take the effort to follow. that is the best policy that will work. Thank you, Vijay Nrsimha Prabhu.
I think Sundari Gopika Mataji highlighted a very nice point that in Jagannath Puri, even married couple, I think in general, this is also true that when they're unmarried, they have these tendencies to exhibit certain emotions which actually married couple are very cognizant of and behave more carefully than the unmarried yet to be married couple. That's we are more conscious about our surroundings when we exhibit certain behavior. I mean, if we are married for certain time, we know how to present ourselves in in the general public.
Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we can wrap up here. And again, sorry for such a heavy discussion, but it was unavoidable, so we had to bring it up. Hopefully, we don't have to do this too often.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just want to thank you from bottom of my heart just for reminding us, because this shows the care that you're taking for all of us, even Gurudev is taking for all of us. I want to be really thankful for that. And also, Prabhu, if there is any possibility, bring these topics again, actually, because it's kind of like a reminder for us once at a frequent basis sometime. I'd be very thankful. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sham Gopal Prabhu. Okay. So, anything else? I don't know if this is Braja Gopinath. Okay, that's just comments. Okay. Oh, Anuttama Gaura, how can we finish without a comment from Anuttama Gaura?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, accept my Dandavat Pranam, and all grace to Prabhupada and Gita. Thank you so much for this wonderful class and presentation, Prabhu. It was like very wonderful. And as you said, though it was hard, but it was yes very much necessary for getting to the point. I'm really sorry. Some things along this year, something I've also understood many points that I have to work upon and learn. And yeah, as Prabhu Shyam Gopal Prabhu said that please make this class do this class more often so we can understand and learn where we are lacking, where especially I'm lacking, so I can learn and more improve.
Thank you, Anuttama. Sure, I'll be happy to do it in a regular mode instead of as a crisis mode. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Again, this is what is repeated in Srila Prabhupada's books in so many places. If we are careful, like we will follow this. Again, that's why I really appreciate, again, we can appreciate the greatness of Radhesham Prabhu of cultivating so many people of such high caliber. Only when we try to cultivate a few devotees here in this like a thing and in trying to engage services. Of course, our we don't have that kind of a training and background, but still there's a minimum standard. That's what we are not even shooting for. Again, as part of my preparation, I was asking for some materials from different devotees. So some of the standards I got from Pune and other places, they're like such high standards for interaction between brahmacharis and congregation devotees. I'm not even talking about those standards. I'm talking about the absolute minimum standard that Prabhupada gives in his books. But if you go to those that level, they have such highly refined thing. Ultimately, if you think about it, that is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Because even in the spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada says there is all this beautiful men and beautiful women. Right? It's not that you are you are devoid of this attraction there, but because the devotees are so much attracted to Krishna, then even though there is so much opportunity for like a mingling and associating, nobody's interested because Krishna, the interest attraction to Krishna overpowers everything else. So this is the beauty. Again, that is a spiritual world which we are aspiring to go. And if we cannot show that we are ready for that even in this material world, even when, like such simple opportunities are there, then how can we show Krishna that we are ready for the spiritual world? So that means it's not that Krishna is delaying our progress. We are the one that's delaying our entry to the spiritual world, because we are showing Krishna, I'm not ready. Look how much I'm struggling even with the, like beauty and temptation in this world. And then the spiritual world is infinitely more beautiful and more opulent and everything. So whatever we're discussing is not outside of Krishna consciousness. This is whatever problems we are experiencing is our lack of Krishna consciousness. That's the way we have to see it, and take a positive step to uh, improve. Again, it's not like we cannot achieve this state um, in a standalone manner. That's why the sadhana, the etiquette, everything goes together. That's why Prabhupada has given everything in a complete package. We cannot think that I can get away with doing something and not doing something and still get the result. No, you just have to follow everything we can and then depend on mercy. And then again, one other important thing here is whoever is engaged in very sincere service, right, they'll gradually become purified. Whoever is just trying to just do a show and just trying to present themselves as uh, things like that, it's only those that generally have the trouble. It's if somebody is really engaged in service, then they'll be so busy with the service, and there's no time or place for these thoughts, right? Again, there is a certain path for them to become grihasthas. That's not excluded. I'm just saying in general, for normal interaction. So we have to be careful to use our time. Then Krishna will help us with the right thing at the right time. Yes, Madhu Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. And yes, we tend to sometimes be ignorant, sometimes just be in our mental speculation, and due to our false ego, we don't even realize. Prabhuji, I just want to ask a very, unfiltered question. Like in our voice, whenever similar session, not really on this topic, maybe some instructive topics are there. What happens is after the topic is over, the lecture is over, then we try to pinpoint and like this, like that, and it's a very mature way sometimes to, and we also dilute the importance. So I would just like to ask you that maybe we have done mistakes, or we have how to maybe very properly rectify ourselves and also help each other, rather than don't do like that, and rather than doing it a very pinpointing and a finger pointing way. So what can be a better way so that we can improve ourselves and also help others as well?
Yes, the already addressed in the checklist. First is introspect, and then acknowledge, and then be honest, and then open up to those who you think are better followers of the standard than yourself. It's not that they have to be like advanced devotees or initiated much more, but in this particular aspect, if you feel that they don't have that kind of thoughts, at least in your estimation, if you feel that they don't have that particular problem, open up to them if they are your friends or seniors or mentors, and then tell them, this is what I've been introspecting and finding out about myself. Like that's why Sanatana Goswami, again, he was asking Kayami, like what kind of a Vaishnava am I, right? That's how he was introspecting. So, and then Krishna Das Kaviraja or somebody else says, if I introspect myself, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if I introspect myself, I find nothing good. So your mercy is all I am made of, right? So the introspection is a very much part of the Vaishnava culture. So we can again, there's something I'll also I was thinking of helping with the group. We'll address it in the next couple of sessions. One of the things we wanted to do is to have like a like a resolution for the new year, what are the 3 things that I want to improve for the next year, right? If everybody can make that list and share it with those that they are comfortable with, then they can monitor their own progress in those 3 areas. That shows their awareness. They can also seek others and ask, look, do you see anything in me that I don't see? Because being able to see one's own anarthas itself is a fruit of so many years of chanting and devotional service, right? That knowing our blind spots is actually the greatest blessing. So that's why when somebody tries to show us what we are lacking, we should be so grateful for that feedback, because unless they have a relationship with us, unless they are our well-wishers, they will not even be giving us that feedback. So we need to be very grateful in receiving that, and then that's what the nectar of instruction verse 3, right? Guhya ma kyati prichati. So we have to open up to advanced devotees. Again, even if they're advanced in that particular respect, that's good enough. They can be our friends and our peers, but not somebody who will justify our behavior. And that is the only thing we need to avoid when talking about peers. So somebody who is neutral and whom we don't have any problem in receiving the unfiltered feedback. Communication is the best way to increase that awareness and hold ourselves accountable. Yes, Gopi Mandala Mataji.
Krishna Praji, Tanapana. First of all, Praji, I want to thank you for this session. I myself feel that after hearing this, now I know where I did, like I messed up, where I have to improve. And again, like in the end, you just mentioned that this is more for us. And when our loved ones or when our seniors or whosoever who is caring about us share these topic, then I feel like it is more that they love us, they want us to be in the safer hand. And thank you, Praji, for saving me actually. And there are a lot of things that I personally have to improve. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Rasika has a separate call scheduled for, I think, the Delhi devotees. That's Tuesday. Because I was
Sorry,
also
Praji.
joking. Huh?
Can I mention one thing, Praji? Actually,
Yes.
the day when Rasika Mataji texted in the group, from that day onwards, I was just having like bad dreams of bad
No.
anxiety of having some dark cloud on Delhi people that will gonna
Okay.
burst out.
Okay. Okay. Luckily, that is not as serious as this, but that is just no, I was just joking. Like you have, I mean, not joking. It's a real, but just telling. Gopi Mandla was giving some comment. I told him Delhi devotees have another session on Tuesdays, a separate session. But again, it's not
But
as.
not this
I
one.
don't know. I'm just. It's not as bad as. I mean, it's not as serious.
This
Yeah, it's not related to this. I'm just telling there's a different, it's a smaller set, but somehow maybe because Delhi is where Hastinapur was, and all the Kshatriyas, and even now the government, all the politicians, everybody's running off of Delhi. So I'm sure there is some Kshatriya spirit there that's in the group. So we wanted to address that. Again, we want to be troopers, but not within the group, but outside the group, right? So we wanted to address that separately just for the those. But again, nothing serious, but we wanted to take this serious thing first and then address that. Again, again, everything is for improving how like we are conducting ourselves as a group, because some of these things are so noticeable. When we cooperate, it's so noticeable, and when we don't cooperate, it's so noticeable. When you follow, it's noticeable. Again, every soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna has endowed with, that's what it means to be sentient, to be like you have senses, so we are able to perceive, we are able to observe. So that's what we are trying to communicate here in a friendly manner. so that everybody can improve. That's a goal. And again, nothing personal or anything. It's just about the culture and how we can serve better, like a Gurudev in each group, like that. Yes, Prem Nataraj Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I'm audible.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for today's class. You really made me understand that how crucial it is to behave in a Vaishnava way and how important it is to follow the Vaishnava etiquettes and all. Because our Kartik Parikrama doesn't stops, you know, it is not for 1 month because a lot of things are there even after we come back and when we go to the temple and when we mix with our local devotees here or the people from our local community. They also observe us a lot, and that's a very important thing which I have observed, and I have heard from my seniors, from my mentors who are from our temple, because they ask us that what all you learn there, what are all values you are getting from there, because there are very few disciples of Gurudev here in Delhi. So all of them, we all are very strongly representing Gurudev here. So whatever good or whatever bad we are doing here, it is very much strongly noticeable, not by everyone, especially the temple presidents, the brahmacharis in our temple. They notice everything that what we as a disciple of Indradyumna Swami Maharaj are doing. So thank you so much for today's class, and I will really try my best to follow whatever you listed out there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Shivani.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Aditya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I wanted to tell that though it was like I mean I really feel happy that finally someone spoke and finally someone guided us through all these things, because these things are really important and it really helps, for someone like me to shape myself, because again, I'm a female, like I have a female's body, and so it really shapes me a lot. And to be very honest, I didn't feel heavy. I feel very light after getting all these things, and it really helped me to introspect and I analyze that what I have done wrong and how I can improve. Because these conversations, they very few devotees make such. I mean, very few discussions like these happens. And there were some points which I really liked, especially the point where you mentioned in the self-awareness checklist that Krishna always reciprocates with your actual consciousness, not what we portray to others. And really the one of the another point where you mentioned that you will be only able to preach or help others when you yourself are safe, when you by your acharan and everything. And another point where Rasika Mataji mentioned that we will be only able to help you when you tell us, when you ask for the help. So there I really felt protected that yes, this really is my family, where because not everyone tells you that, oh, really we will help you. So those words, they really meant a lot for me, and I'm really grateful to both of you for being our well wishers.
Thank you, Shivani. I just remembered one point in this context. I just thought about it, that Govinda said about this point that Krishna reciprocates with our consciousness and what we portray. The other side also holds good, in the sense, sometimes our intentions might not be wrong, but our actions could be wrong. So we also have to be careful about how we act, because I'm saying even negligently. So we just have to be aware and be cautious, because we might not have the bad intentions at all. 0%. No bad, but sometimes the way we act could mean like that to somebody else, or also set a wrong example. So our behavior also matters. So basically, we have to be pure in our thoughts and in our actions knowingly. We can say that unknowing, yeah, you can make a mistake unknowingly, and when somebody corrects it, then we fix our behavior also, because our behavior also matters. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, good point. Yes, Navakishore Prabhu. NKD.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Is my
Yes.
audio clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I found many points to be applicable, but to begin with, I was thinking about frivolous and frequent talking. So in that regard, one application for me could be like this, that in order to avoid being careless, my jokes I need to share less. So this was what I was thinking.
Don't worry.
Actually, your jokes are protecting you.
Sharing jokes
Others expect that. Sometimes that
Kishore,
expectation comes that he will make me laugh, and so.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
No, what I'm saying is the jokes in a common setting, public setting, like it lightens the mood. And I tease Anutama Gaura because when he was there in the first 2 weeks, every question in IDS KP discussion, sometimes I was asking Vijay Narasimha and Giridhari, can someone watch and reply? And as long as he was there, he used to reply before anybody can reply. He was the first one to reply, and I told him at one point, like, others, okay, stop replying, let others also reply, so that you can use your time for something else. So I was just joking in that context. So some light-hearted things in the group and all, it's okay. When he said, frivolous interactions, Govincharan meant one-on-one with a person of the opposite gender, and that context. That's what I meant. In common groups, jokes and all that is perfectly fine. We need to have some amount of fun also.
Recording in progress.
Go ahead now, Kishore.
Mataji, I was thinking that somebody might like some joke and they expect that, oh, this person will make me laugh, so that can increase the possibility of close association. So I need to avoid in that way, I was thinking.
Sure, you can be extra careful, but I'm saying don't become paranoid. You can be extra careful, cautious, but in a group setting, it's okay. As you say, as Govinchan was saying, we just need to introspect. What is our motive?
Exactly.
Our motive.
Yes.
If your motive is clean, it's okay.
Is it, again, the thing is, Krishna consciousness is all about consciousness, right? Is it to please the other person, or is it to draw attention to myself? You can tell the same joke in both ways, right? One is to lighten the mood of other Vaishnavas and make
person, the group, I meant.
group. It's to lighten the mood of the group and serve as a gesture, right? Gurudev likes people. Gurudev himself is extremely humorous.
Yeah.
Especially in personal interaction. Sometimes he gets on in a certain
humor track.
He'll go on like you cannot stop him. He's extremely humorous and always he's fun loving, and he tries to make every situation fun. So there's no harm in that, right? The question is, are you trying to do it as a service, or are you trying to promote yourself? It's a consciousness that we have to work on. Yes, everybody is naturally endowed, and not everybody can reply to a message like Anuttama. Not everybody can, pick words apart like you. So everybody has some natural talent. Vrajapati Sutta has a natural music talent, and like that. So
And even Govind Charan, he has to joke in parikrama, even in announcements time, and here, there. If you say that humor is not allowed, Govind Charan will not exist. he won't have
I may
any
be
role in Karthik.
I may be banned from the parikrama next year if humor is not allowed. So so like that. So again, everything is, Krishna gifted qualities. We just have to use it with the right consciousness. Again, if the focus is service, we can never be wrong.
Yeah.
That's the difference between love and lust, right? Love means for Krishna or Vaishnavas in general. Lust means for me. So we have to introspect that mood. So I'm eager to receive appreciation, to receive honor, like that. Then stop and reduce and like minimize. When you want to do it in the mode of service, then like do it. Yeah. Shivani raising her hands again, or was it old one?
Yes, Prabhuji, I had a question. Like my question is that like if our motives are like pure, and sometimes we don't want to hurt the other person, but somehow the situations become like that, and we get very confused how to react and what. So like, do we need to wait for our seniors to come and speak to us, or shall we just go and tell them about all these things? Because standing on my place, what I sometimes feel is that h- how shall I just go and address, because my seniors must be busy there with the services and everything. But when I keep it to myself, it gets worse and worse. So like, what shall I do at that point?
I mean, if it is bothering you that much, you should go and talk to your seniors. When I say seniors, once this mentor system develops, then there will be a process. You will have a mentor. You can go tell them, and then because if you can handle it yourself, but if it is bothering you, better go talk to them, because they are not going to watch everything and ask you by themselves.
And also one simple solution for you, Shivani, is you can increase the list of whom you consider as senior. Then you have more people to talk to.
Yes, probably. I will definitely work
Right.
on that.
Because many times, Krishna is giving us so much help. So many people are there to talk to. Only if we are humble to, accept that and recognize them. That's why, if we don't use something, then Krishna will not give us more of that. He'll see, okay, I'll see how much you use it, and then I'll increase your capacity. So like that. So yeah, there are so many wonderful devotees, Ramay Manohar Prabhu is there, and so many wonderful devotees are there locally. So you should all learn to develop that, like a real genuine relationship. First of all, understanding, who is, like a well-situated devotee who is struggling. We need to have that as Madhyamadikaris. We need to have that ability to discriminate, even if not, at least ask somebody that we trust and take shelter of devotees. It's not that every time, you may reach Gurudev or, Rasika like that, and that's not necessary, because there are many other devotees who can help solve problems of lower nature. Yes, if something is critical, then it's a different thing. But if it's not thing, that is how we get all the help we can and advance and come to a higher platform where we don't have to deal with the lower problems, but we have higher problems to deal with. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I think we should finish
Yes.
here. I think we should finish
Yeah,
here.
my battery is almost at 1%. Otherwise, I'll be forced to finish. So thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhesha kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.